वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। ओम निधये सर्वविद्यानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम यैरिमे गुरुभिः पूर्वं पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याता सर्ववेदान्ताः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ भवता जनता सुहिता भविता निजबोधविचारणचारुमते कलयेश्वर जीवविवेकविदं भवशङ्करदेशिकमे शरणम्। ॐ समस्तब्रह्मविद्याचार्येभ्यो नमः, ऋषिभ्यो नमः, मुनिभ्यो नमः, गुरुभ्यो नमः, देवताभ्यो नमः। ॐ श्री अथर्वऋषये नमः, मण्डूकमहर्षये नमः, गौडपादाचार्यवर्याय नमः, आद्यशङ्करसद्गुरवे नमः, अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम अथ अथर्ववेदान्तर्गतमाण्डुक्य उपनिषद शान्तिमन्त्रः। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यसेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ अथ अलाथ शान्त्याख्य चतुर्थ प्रकरणम्। Saluting to the Lord, to the entire Guru Parampara. This pursuit of Brahma Vidya through the study of Upanishads, contemplation on the Upanishad mantra, is the ultimate process to reach out to the ultimate. That should be taken as ultimate through our own discretion, through the encouragement, inspiration we get from the Guru and study of Shastra. But though it is the ultimate thing to be pursued and achieved, to make it very effective, to do this sadhana very purposefully, seriously, sincerely, without any inner and obstructions, outer obstructions, we should know that we have to surely, definitely, soon manage both our outer life as well as inner equipments. Without managing the outer life, we cannot focus on managing and mastering our inner equipments, mainly the mind and ego. Without sufficiently managing these two, purifying these two, mastering these two, the mind and ego, mind wants to go outside in the world. Ego wants to keep always separate from the reality. Without understanding these two, their traits very deeply, very acutely, and without managing them, mastering them, the study of Upanishads and the effort to understand, meditate, contemplate won't become so effective. First of all, the interest and opportunity itself will not come. Even that opportunity comes, interest will not be sufficient enough. Even the interest comes, it is always fluctuating. Even we create the interest zabardasti or through some force. Yet, because we have not managed our inner equipment and outer vyavahara, we will not be able to move deeper inside. In the understanding also, and in rising above these upadhis also. That's how the Lord has given the outer world, inner world, and the Shastra. Thus you manage it. And what is the management of outer world? So simple it is. Live the life of Dharma. More than that, don't expect anything from the world. Don't take it as real at all. What is the thing to do inside? The inner mind is only a vehicle for me to reach to God. Other than that, don't give any extra opportunity for it. Because the inner devil, the mind has such a tremendous power to wheel the Paramatma to take away us from Paramatma, take us away from Paramatma. All that the mind does when it is given an opportunity. Only the intellectual understanding of Shastra should be felt or thought about by the mind all the time. This is how slowly, steadily, deliberately, consciously, the tyranny called as the mind also we can master. Then only what is spoken by the rishis munis about the deeper inner experience, about the truth and reality, and its one without second nature, that it is unborn, undying, unmodifying. What is the meaning of all those subtle things start happening to us? Meaning. Then we pursue to be that which we are already. In that effort to be that, all the what I am not are slowly transcended. Then we just be that. We become that, or we just discover that we are that being. Then all the journey ends, all struggles end. Then the final of the pursuits we have reached out. This is how, in short, about the purpose of our study of these Upanishads, the journey of spirituality. In fact, even final destination of you and I as human beings or the Jiva. And all these things still remain either vague or we may forget it because of the nature of mind, because of our so many involvements. So, relentlessly, regularly, unless we listen to Shastra from the Guru and study ourselves steadily, we will not be able to even be in touch with this final goal. We will not be able to be consistently inspired to be in that path. If this were not done, then like others, routine may will again be remembering our own mind, our own deha, the world around, the people around. The moment they are all remembered, immediately the old tendencies of the ahankara, the raga and dvesha and the desires and all the relativity and the emotions, all of them gurgle out. Then that's such a flooding force it is that we get flown in that. In a moment's time only, all this entire cinema and drama appears to be so real that we really feel we are Jiva, we are Deha, the Jagat is Satyam, and in the Jagat, this is to be achieved, that is to be given up, there we have to run, there we have to run away from. In this way, the samsara becomes so powerful. Therefore, continuously studying Shastra is a minimum gift we give to ourselves. And to come to the level of independently studying and understanding, we have to keep on listening from some master or guru or acharya. Keep on doing it. This is how, in short, we can pursue the spiritual path. Now we are, by the grace of the entire Guru Parampara, studying our highest of literature, Upanishads. In that also the Mandukya. In that also we have come up to the fourth, the ALAATHA Shanti Prakaranam. In that also, in each of the topics, first 5-10 slokas were on one topic, then second, then the third, then from the 50th onwards, he took the topic of example of the Alatha, and in the Alatha's Spandanam, Alatha Spandanam leading to the Rujuvakra Abhasa. With that example, he explained to us also what is there alone is only self. In the ignorance of self only, the Maya makes the Chitta appear and the vasanas push the chitta to have the spandana, and according to the vasanas, after the spandana of the chitta, the non existing abhas of the entire Jagat we see. Into that we flow. Therefore, with this wisdom, all the sadhanas. First, the outer Jagat is only abhasa. Second, it is manifesting out of spandana of chitta. Third, chitta need not do spandana. It is existing as well as having spandana because of the impressions or the vasanas. So when the power of the pressure of the vasanas is removed, the spandana of the chitta goes away. Chitta without spandana is chitta. Directly you are the self. That is what explained to us. Even then, after listening all that repeatedly, still we are not able to do sadhana. One reason was mentioned because of our abhinivesha and avesha. That's it. We are having that abhinivesha that it is real, and we are aveshita. We are having that. चलते क्या कहा उन्होंने इन भाष्यकार he said we have agraha word he used. Avesha, Avinivesha, Agraha. These three words you hold on to. The same Avesha, Avinivesha, Agraha. When we have for the truth, our pursuit for the truth, our samskaras of the truth or the self or reality become more and more predominant. So, other than the Avesha, Abhinivesha, and Agraha, actually, um, nothing else which is creating the world, making the world real, and making us get bound by the world. If these three we can drop, the Avesha, the Abhinivesha, and the Agraha, we can be able to come out of the world and pursue what is studied from the Guru about the truth and reality through meditation. Okay. Now we are into this 89th mantra. This 89, 90, 91. These three mantras are a complete package. Very important, very powerful. Never miss even one letter in understanding these three mantras of the Karika as well as the Bhashyam. So, Jnane cha Trivide Gneye Kramena Vidite Swayam Sarvagnata hi Sarvatra Bhavatiha Mahadeyaha. So, you become a Mahadi, a highly evolved intellectual person. That evolution of the intellect is through the study of Shastras. And that intellect's job is of sharply, shrewdly discriminating the Atma, Anatma, and dropping the Anatma and holding on to Atma. That type of Mahadhi. With that Mahadhi only, everything is achieved. Like in the world also, with the highly evolved, educated, sublime, subtle intellect only, all the goals are perceived or planned for, goals are taken up, and to achieve the goal, whatever to be done, the entire system, scheme, planning is done by the very sharp, shrewd, subtle intellect only. It can be as mundane as a small thing of the domestic work. It can be as big as a professional thing. Even bigger than that, that you want to lead the entire nation or community through some power or post. All of them are the genius of the highly evolved intellect. Mahadhi. To us in pursuit and entire nation's needs and how to achieve their needs, the intellect has to be Mahadhi. Then only you can do. Even small little works also, when you have to achieve, you want to construct a house, own Mahadhi, वहाँ अपना level का दिमाग काम करना है. Everywhere you want to have friends, relatives. So too in spirituality also, to transcend what we are living now and experience the transcendental. It is the role is that of the Mahadhi, highly sharpened, highly deepened, highly made subtle fully informative intellect is called Mahadiya. Mahadi, such Mahadi. The one who is having a in that Mahadi, he will use that Mahadi for doing the sadhana. After sadhana is done, he will experience himself as Ekameva Dvayam Brahma Neha Nasti Kinchana. And what is the job of this Mahadhi in this spirituality? Jnanecha Trividhe Gneye Kramena Vidite. Jnanena Jnanecha Trividhe Gneye Kramena. This is one sadhana. Then Vidite Swayam is second sadhana. Result of these two, Sarvagnata hi Sarvatra Bhavati. This is the third result. So yesterday, day before, we exhaustively talked about just remaining as only Drashta and Sakshi. That is called the glory of the Mahadi. What is the Mahadi's expression? Vidite, Kramena. Kramena, it is understanding that from the, because of the ignorance of Paramatma, that is becoming the cause. From that cause only the subtle, from the subtle the gross are manifested. In the manifestation, the two things are there. The world which is there experienced and the experiences. The experiences are called as jnanam. The world experience is called as gneyam. These are none but the manifestations only in the ignorance of the self, and that can be slowly taken away from our life or devalued or dissolved only by being the sakshi to them. This is the Mahadi, which gets convinced about it, which even practices it, which even achieves it. Then what will happen? Result of the Vidite Swayam. Then what happens? Swayam Vidite, Swam Vidite, a position will come then that when these three are slowly dissolved, gross in subtle, subtle in the causal, then who is he who is seeing all that? In that question, we will see one knows oneself. That one knows oneself, the experience is what? He is everything and he knows himself. He is everything is called Sarva. He knows himself is a Jna. And that I know myself to be conscious self, he again is not conditional. It is not coming and going. It is always remaining. Even at the time when we don't know that, we were already that. Even when we don't know that, we are already that. Therefore, unconditionally, to put from the Vyavahara standpoint, at every place, at every time, in all situations, I discover myself to be Sarva Agnya and Gnya. I am everything and I am conscious self. This discovery of myself at all places, conditionings that I am that is called here by the Karikakara as Sarvatra. And this is a call of all the great saints and sages that Sarvatra means in all places, timings, and conditionings. Sarvagnya, you are that pure conscious self alone. Objectively saying, that conscious self alone is there everywhere, anything, everywhere at every time, in everything. In fact, in that Paramatma only, the time called as every time, the place called as everywhere, the things called as everything are only superimposed or only projected. Well, thereafter, through the agraha, through the abhinivesha and through the avesha, they are made so real that we are caught up in that. Sometimes we have to become keen, deep in our contemplation and experimentation. What's the contemplation? How many things we valued in our life? Many people, many. When we valued them, how important they were, so much. And how many of them we devalued? Again, many. When they were devalued, how much were they in our life? No. In the same way, the entire world, inner and outer, at present is so important in our life because we valued it. When you devalue it, it is no more there. Only when devalue them, then you can value the real self and discover. This intellectual Mahadi should come to us once in a while. That ability is called spiritual sadhana. Once that is done, the struggle to win the world or lose the world gets reduced. That's called a Visharanam of the samsara in the definition of the word Upanishad, which we studied in Kata and etc. It's in my hands to give importance to the world and become worldly. It is in my hands to devalue the world and transcend being worldly. And it is in my choice that I can pursue the self. And it's in my own effort that I can experience myself. First, in these things, we have to become strong. They are the pillars. With these pillars being strong, then all our time and efforts, instead of getting worried about the world is always worry. Mila to bhi worry hai, nahi mila to bhi worry. From all that worries we withdraw, then our pursuit of self on the seat of meditation becomes regular, sincere, genuine, and true and fruitful. So, jnane, gneye, kramena means slowly the jnanam and gnayam you dissolve from the gross to the subtle into the gazal by devaluing it. The entire world is existing only because of value given to it. Value of reality, value of eternity, value of the ability to give us sukha. These three superimpositions made the world so real that we are caught up in that. And in the deep chambers of contemplation, we have to understand these three to be the problem and consciously, deliberately, like the thorn is removed from the foot, if it has the same way, we have to remove them, these three thorns. The Satyatva, Nityatva, and Samachittatva of the Jagat. When we remove, then slowly the dissolution of the gross happens. So to do with the subtle. Then the causal, one need not worry much about it, as then gross and subtler we are withdrawing from. The impression aspect of the causal body, the vasana aspect, goes away. Because the creator and sustainer of the vasanas in the Vasanamaya kosha is gross and subtle. The gross means Jagrat Jagat, subtle means the psychological Jagat. Through the devaluation of these three, Satyata, Nityata, Samachittata, when we have devalued the gross and subtle, the Vasana aspect goes away. The other aspect of the causal called as avidya, when we are more and more contemplating on the nature of self, being conscious and sat, the avidya also goes away. We need not worry about it. Our job is only to reduce the influence of Jagrat and Swapna or Tastal and causal and become more intense in that which is the truth, which is already said that it is Sat Swarupa and Chit Swarupa. What it looks like when it is Sat and Chit. What is the meaning of Sat and Chit? When you contemplate on that, the avidya goes away, vasanas go away. Then sarvagnata hi sarvatra bhavati means what? In and through all the parts of the golden ornament, just like gold and gold and gold alone is there. In and through all waving of every wave, in its size, in its birth, in its movement, in its consuming other waves and dying. What do we see is only water. In the same way, in and through whatever is gross, subtle happening at the micro individual level, Vesti or the macro cosmic level, what do we see is that and that one truth that is called as Sarvagnya. Sarva means Sat Swarupa, Gnya means Chit Swarupa. That Sat Chit Swarupa alone is experienced. And once it comes, it never goes. That's called as Sarvatra. Sarvatra means afterwards, again, there's no coming back to the earlier level. In all other avasthas, we are not stable. In all other knowledges also, there is a chance of forgetting them because they're all at the upadhi level. This is the anubhava level and anubhava of the sat only or reality. So there's no receding from it. There is no going back from it. That's why it's called as sarvatra bhavati. Once realized, realized once for all. It is not again, there is a forgetfulness. Like these other waking, dream, deep sleep are not continuous. Once you enter into one, the other two are gone. Yeah. Now, same one again we will see. Yesterday we saw half of it. Whatever the remaining portion, we touch it. ये क्या है? ज्ञाने च मीन्स लौकिकादि विषये ज्ञाने मीन्स लौकिकादि विषयम ज्ञानम मीन्स एक्सपीरियंस. So ज्ञेये च लौकिकादौ त्रिविधे ज्ञेये मीन्स experience do. Trividhe, the three places, the world of experiences and the experience of those worlds. So the Jagrat world, the Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha and all of that, these are all called Gneya Vastu. One of the three Gneya Vastus. And what is the Jnanam? The experience of it. So too, in the Swapna or in the psychological world, the Gneya are the thoughts and the Jnanam is the awareness of those thoughts. In the Sushupti Avastha, the Gneya Vastu is ignorance, nothing is there, and the Jnanam is its own experience ki, I know there was nothing. Trividhe, what to do? Purvam Laukikam Sthulam. First become absolutely aware about the Laukika Sthula Vastu. And then, as we said in the introduction today, by knowing very clearly that just it is depending only in the Indriya's perception, otherwise, as we exhaustively explained yesterday, इसलिए मैं इसको अब टच नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि none of the world exists the grosser without the perception by the Indriya. Therefore, Indriyas only are appearing as Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Sagandha. With the repetition of this thing, when we devalue the Jagrada Avastha, the Anubhavas of Jagrada Avastha, to such an extent that they are no more important in us, then they are no more troubling us. That is called as Tadabhave. What is the feeling of that Tadabhave? Is just in the Jagrada Avastha, only for doing sadhana. Other than that, for him, the entire Jagrada Avastha is not seen also. Even if it is seen while conducting, it has zero value. Because he has come to the truth level, conviction level, which is very rare. That the world perceived is only in the Indriyas. Without Indriyas, world is not there. Therefore, world is real as much as Indriyas are seeing them. Therefore, more subtle or real than the world is Indriya. Therefore, world need not be valued as real at all. This type of thinking is called subtle thinking. This type of thinking is called as Vedantic thinking, where cause and effect or depending and dependence relation, we try to know which is important, which is not. So, from the standpoint of Indriya, without Indriya, the Jagat cannot be. Therefore, the Indriyas are important, not the Jagat. This is called a Tadabhava. That will happen only when you have the Mahadhiya. Mahadhiya. थोड़ा सा राग द्वेष कम हुआ तभी जाकर ये कर सकते. I gave a lot of examples yesterday. It is a raga dvesha value given makes the world appear real. When they are reduced to sufficient extent, this experiment can be done and achieved. That the world of objects called as the world is real or is there only because I am seeing it through Indriyas. So what is important? Indriyas, not the world. What is real? Indriyas, not the world. This is called a Mahadhyaya. The consequence of that is, as we said just now, the world with all Shabdas, Harsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha in it, and with all the modifications that are happening in it, all of them are not at all important. The Mahadeva. That's called, we are explaining the word of Tadabhave. So, on the seat of meditation, with these type of many other exercises, the abhava of the Jagrat Jagat is achieved. One of the three, Jnana and Jnaya. The Jnaya Vastu is Jagrada Avastha and the Jnana is the perception of that Jnana. Jagrada Avastha is transcended. So, what that Rishi Muni on the seat of meditation doing seated in Himalayas is abhava of the Jagrat by dissolving it in the Sukshma, by knowing that because of Sukshma only Stula is there. Other than the Sukshma appearing as Stula namak independent reality nahi hai. Independent Jagat is not there. This he comes to that by repeated contemplation. It just not happen like one time I said to you and you heard it. ऐसे एक बार से नहीं होता है. Hundreds and hundreds of time. Consciously you'll think the relation between the eye, the seer, and the Rupa Nama which is seen. In the experiments, he opens the eyes, see the world, closes eyes, sees the world is not there. Then by repeatedly doing experiment, he understands the Rupa Nama are there because the eye is there. Therefore, they say Rupa Nama are not important, the eye is important. Important is real, greater. This can be done by only that Mahadi which has no attachment to the Rupas around. If there is attachment for the shapes and forms outside, you understand? Then this experiment, those attachments will not allow us to do. That is called impurity. That is why sufficient viveka, vairagya, freedom from raga, dvesha are very essential to do this type of contemplative exercises. It's so simple otherwise. When the indriyas are there, world is there. When the indriyas are not there, world is not there. Therefore, where is the world? Only in indriya. But to be able to come to that, we have to be freed from indriya vastus of the world. नहीं तो ये सोचने नहीं देगा वो. Because the thought flow will be in the other direction of how to get those indriya vastus of world and how to indulge in them. Mhm. All of us are victims of this bhoga buddhi toward the jagat, kamanas in the mind for the jagat, and thinking and working how to possess and enjoy the jagat. He is called a samsari. But the one who has got sufficient vairagya through viveka and wants to know the truth or reality final, he alone can experiment this way repeatedly and come to that conviction that gross is not there other than independent of subtle. That is called as the gross dissolving tadabhava. Same is done for the second one. For the laukika, when we achieved the bhava sthiti, same thing we have to do to the shuddha laukika, that is sukshma. पश्चात शुद्धम लौकिकम. Interesting here. Be attentive here. Coming to Shuddham Laukikam means what? Living always in the mind level. Becoming aware of the mind. Mind itself which is taking shape of Panchendriyas. Or mind itself which is taking shape of thoughts. And in the womb of thoughts, lot of worlds of contents are there. All this, it can be again things and beings, but not gross like the outer. This is called as coming to the level of the Sukshma or Shuddha Laukika. The Shuddha Laukika also, as we studied so much in the ALAATHA, the example, the existence of the Chitta, the existence of Vrittis in the Chitta, and existence of particular things and beings in the womb of the Vrittis of the Chitta, all of them are because of Bija, because of Vasanas. Be careful about it. And those Vasanas are there because of the Avidya. In this understanding, we devalue even the Vrittis of the even the contents in the Vrittis of the Chitta and even the Vrittis of the Chitta and even the Chitta. In that also, be attentive. When we are not giving value even to these contents inside, when the vasanas are eliminated, focus on that. Vasanas are eliminated. Vasanas are the pressures of the deeper inner impressions which manifest the chitta, which manifest the vrittis in the chitta, which manifest the objects or in the vrittis, womb of the chitta, in the vrittis. When they are not valued as knowing that they are unreal, इतना ही करना है. वासनाओं के कारण ही वृत्तियां हैं, उसके अलावा वृत्तियों का स्वतः सत्ता नहीं है, उनका जरूरत भी नहीं है. In this way, when the vritti, whichever it has a person in that, it is an object in that, it is an emotion, kuch bhi ho, when you devalue that, this devaluation reduces the pressure of vasanas. The more lesser the vasanas are there, the quieter is the chitta with minimum of the vrittis and in the also with the minimum of the contents in the vritti. That is called slowly, even the Sukshma Sharira is becoming abhava. That is what he said, tad abhavena. And as we said, the lokottaram, the third sthiti of karana, when we have acted at the gross at level, the vasanas have already gone away. The pressure. And the other aspect of avidya, of the lokottara third avastha, goes away when the vidya of the atma is tried to. When we try to discover what I am, the self being within us, there's no doubt that we will not realize it because मैं हूँ आज नहीं तो कल पक्का मैं कौन हूँ पता चलेगा. There is no doubt about it. When the apprehension of the self is known, then even that avidya goes away. Then what is the experience of that self at that time? Sarvagna Sarvatra. That is explained next. And this all has to be repeatedly heard, contemplated, and first theory is made pakka. Then we have to be doing it practically every day throughout. Whole life is spent only for that. No concern about any other aspect. Sarvadharman parityaja is that. Then only we will be able to do Mamekam Sharanam. Such person will have any importance to any Jagrat? Nahi hoga. Will have any importance to any of the emotions of we are trying to eliminate them. हमको किसी को interest importance नहीं दे रहे बस. That will be the nature of that. That's how you see those dhyatas, meditators, contemplators, vairagis. They just move, sit anywhere, close eyes. What are they doing means this is what they are doing. They devalued the Laukika, then Shuddha Laukika. By devaluing these two, half of the Lokottara goes away. The remaining half of the Lokottara goes away when the self is apprehended. That's the only way. Only way apprehending the self as the self, the ignorance of the self goes away. Knowledge में ही ignorance जाता है ना. So he will be putting efforts only in removing vasanas. And his effort is to gain vidya. In the gaining of vidya, avidya automatically goes away. So the vasana and avidya are the two things which are making the lokottara. And entire thought world is called as Shuddha Laukika. Entire gross or outer world is called as Laukika. Sthula Jagat Sukshma Karana. So what we studied in Mandukya in the first Prakarana itself, the three avasthas and three worlds and three individualities having three experiences, which are so predominant, and because of it, the Turiya is covered. Remember, those jivas in whom Jagra Sapna Sushupti is so predominant, therefore the Turiya is not recognized. All of them are thrown onto this earth. That's how we are amidst all those people. That's why we are not rare or special. We are one of them only. That's how everyone is in suffering in Jagra, Sapna, Sushupti. We are also. But among such one people, Kaschid Dhiraha, as it is said, want to rise above these three avasthas and see the truth reality Turiya. Kaschid Dhiraha Pratyagatmana Vaikshat. And how to do that? Avruta Chakshuhu is abhava of these three. Laukika, Shuddha Laukika, Lokottara. Amritattva means only aiming at discovering the essential nature of the self. To such people, the Upanishad education, the Guru Parampara or the Lord is giving, and we are studying. Why I said this one? Because when you look at the world around, all of them are in Laukika, Shuddha Laukika, Lokottara Avastha only. None of them are trying for Turiya. Yeah, you are also like them only, no doubt. So far. But you want to continue, continue. No, no, I want to enjoy the ultimate bliss, eternal bliss, permanent bliss. That is only in the discovery of self. For that, you have to come to this level. How to do? We have to transcend all that. So, what is the thing therefore taught? Jnanecha trivide gneye kramena. So, systematically, by devaluing the gross, come to subtle. By devaluing the subtle, devalue subtle as well as the causal. By valuing the real self, reach to it. Next is very interesting. Listen carefully. Tad abhavena lokottaram. Iti evam kramena. In this way. What is to be done? Listen. Sthanatraya abhavena. When we reach to the abhava of these three sthana, Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti, Loka, Shuddha Laukika, Laukottara, Abhavena, what will happen at that time? That which is never Abhava, which is always there. In the ignorance of which these three sthanas were created, that is perceived as it is, experienced as it is. उसका नाम क्या है? परमार्थ सत्य. That paramartha satya, which is not these, none of these three. Therefore, it's the fourth one. Therefore, it's called a turiye. Paramartha satya turiye, and it is one without second advaye. And ajay, it is never born, never dying. Ajay. Then abhaye. And as there is no other thing other than it, there is nothing to fear, and it remains permanently. Therefore, there is no fear of it receding or going away. That abhaye vidite swayam. So, to vidite swayam sentence in the Karika, Bhagavan Shankara is adding so many adjectives to say that when these three become abhava, then by yourself you know yourself. What are that knowing of your own self? The Paramartha Satya. What is that Paramartha Satya? Turiya, Advaya, Aja, Abhaya. Simple words में बताऊं, layman's language. When these three avasthas are transcended, you reach to your own turiya chautha, fourth avastha, which is paramartha, which is absolute truth, and which is ajay, avare, ajay. It is called turiye, advaye, ajay, abhaye. Turiya, fourth one. Advaya, one without second. Aja, unborn, unmodified, undying. Abhaya, no fear at all in that. Of anything. Fear of losing, fear of somebody other. कुछ नहीं. अभय पद कहते हैं उसको. अभय विदिते स्वयं. Vidite, when it is experienced swayam. And what is that experience as? Not as an object, please. Now, from here, the explanation is very subtle, very conscious you have to become. Vidite swayam means what? Swayam eva atma swarupam. Vidita is, again, it is not the knowledge that there is something other than me, the knower, that there is a known. No. Vidita स्वयं एवा आत्म स्वरूपम. वहां जानना होना एक ही होता है. Please remember, their being is knowing. Knowing is being. That self, which turiya, which is called a turiya, which is called as advaya, which is called as aja, which is called paramartha sattva, is not like again any other object known by me, that there is an object known, I am the knower. Till that moment, even Jagra, Sapna, Sushupti are the objects known, and I am the illuminator of them, the knower. So there, Vidite means Paramatma Swarupe, Atma Swarupam. Abhaye Vidite Swayam Eva Atma Swarupam. And that Atma Swarupam is Sarvajnata. What is Sarvajnata? Sarvaha cha asaugnaha cha sarvajnaha. That alone is there, nothing other than it is there. And what is that when you ask? Jnaha. It is Jnapti Swarupa. It is pure consciousness alone. No. That feeling, that experience is called Tadbhava Sarvajnata. So he becomes Sarvajna. There means what? There is only one thing which is Sarva, which is Gnaswarupa. I discover myself to be with that. That is called as Atma. That is the one which is Paramartha Satya. And that is Aja, Abhaya, Advaya, Turiya. So this is how these words are very crucial to intellectually apprehend, first of all. Then once you intellectually understand, apprehend, that is kept as goal. I understood this will be the state of experience. when I discover myself. Oh, then keeping that as goal, you pursue. In that pursuit, all these three avasthas are transcended. Abhava, abhava, abhava. तो जब इन तीनों अवस्थाओं को केवल साक्षी के रूप में रहते हुए अभाव करने से जो चौथी अवस्था है, जो अनबॉर्न है, अनडइंग है, जो परमार्थ सत्य है, जो तुरी कहा है, उसका अनुभव होगा। वो आप ही है, आप वही हो, नॉट द अदर थ्री अवस्थास. That is why I said, vidite swayam means that time you are alone there, and you will know yourself to be that, and that known thing is you. There is no difference of knower and known there. You become that. That is why it's called as Atma Swarupam. This is eva sarvagnata. That itself is sarvagnata, word used by the Karikakara. I am explaining you what is the meaning of sarvagnya. It is not sarvagnya means he knows physics, chemistry, maths, astrology. No, no. Here sarvaha and jnaha. That sarva means that alone. And what is that? Jnaha means conscious self. That bhava, that experience of such thing is called sarvagnata. Means I experience myself to be I alone, and I am that is conscious self. I am the conscious self, experience happens. Sarvagnata iha asmin loke. Iha means asmin loke means while being alive as human being only, transcending these three avasthas, we can reach to that experience. So loke bhavati for whom mahabuddhehe mahadhiyaha. For a mahabuddhi who has so much of subtlety, patience, perseverance, to be able to remain as Sakshi so that all these three avasthas are dissolved. For a Mahabuddhi only it will happen. Sukshma Buddhi, Shuddha Buddhi, Tikshna Buddhi, Ekagra Buddhi. Is it not? All that put together is called Mahadhiya. Mahabuddhi. Aha. So in this Mahabuddhitva, the two aspects are one is the theoretical knowledge and practicality. That these three avasthas are not real, they have to be dissolved. The self is the fourth one, which is other than that. The half of the Mahadiya's half meaning is this one. Pakka theoretical understanding. In the practical meditation, the second aspect of Mahadiyatva of the Dhi is what? Actually, it is doing so. What is intellectually understood, that the Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti are projections. The reality is Atma, it is eternally there. That theory which he understood, the Mahadi is able to really transcend them by dissolving them, by entering into the subtle from the gross is dissolved, and then by removing the Karana Shariras Vasanas, even the subtle also is dissolved, and by focusing itself on itself, the Karana is dissolved, and along with the Karana, even the Buddhi aspect also goes away. What experience comes is what is there, the pure conscious self. Not even this buddhi. At the final level of Mahadiya, the dhi also merges to become infinite conscious self. See, ज्ञाने च त्रिविधे ज्ञेये क्रमेण विदिते स्वयं सर्वज्ञताय सर्वत्र bhavati ha mahadiyah. See, 3 days we are pondering on this shloka. See how much clarity and understanding is coming to us. This is called as Adhyayanam. This is how stick to study of Vedanta Shastra and become a thorough student and understand theory. Now, same thing when we do on the Dhyana Avastha. Only in meditative state, the contemplation ke dwara, meditation stage of realize the self happens. Not in the Yagnayaga, the Havana, the Upasana. Again, they're all the Dvaita Vidyas, they're all again fall in the world of samsara. Only on the seat of meditation, body is stabilized, pranas are quite controlled, mind is quietened, intellect has become sharpened and subtle. That intellect which is already studied Shastra, that knowledge it is using now, experimenting on that. In that experiment, it is dissolving Jagra Sapna and bypassing Sushupti, then reaching itself. The meaning is becoming. And when you theoretically also do, the practically when we do, we can really experience it. उसके लिए और कुछ नहीं करना, सिर्फ ध्यान ऑन द आत्मवस्तु टू नो आत्मवस्तु. बिफोर दैट, to dissolve the anatma, the contemplation, the vicharana. Data is given to us. Take this data. What is data from here to there, from there to here? Here to there data is self alone is real. There is nothing other than it. Step 1. Second, 2, in the ignorance of the self, the Maya comes into function. That the Maya alone, avidya, from nowhere or somewhere or anywhere, brings the impressions. Those impressions are vasanas, make the chitta appear. And then chitta spandana, chitta appear and chitta gets spandita because vasana, then that's all the abhasas are done. In the abhasas, the grass, subtle, both of them are there. From here, the gross is there because of subtle, subtle is because of causal, causal is there because of the ignorance of self. Because the grass is there because of subtle, dissolve the gross in subtle. Because the subtle is there because of the causal, dissolve the causal and subtle by discovering the real, the self. देखो ध्यान से, आत्मज्ञान होते ही अविद्या भी जाएगा, फाइनल वासना भी जाएगा, वासना का एक्सप्रेशन जो स्थूल सूक्ष्म है वो भी जाएगा. स्थूल को सूक्ष्म में मर्ज करना है, मीन्स डिवैल्यूइंग द एंटायर स्थूल जगत. How do you know? By saying that all the world is in my own senses. Senses are in my own mind. Therefore, there is nothing other than the mind called as senses or the world. This is called as dissolving sthula in the sukshma. Sab man ka khel. This is called dissolving sthula in sukshma. Genuinely. Not to defeat others or not to achieve something or not to claim that I know philosophy. Truly. There is no world other than my mind. In this way, the gross is dissolved in subtle. Okay, subtle is because of the causal. Causal expresses subtle. Subtle when devalued, causal also gets devalued. Subtle valued, the causal, the vasanamaya also becomes stronger. So with this understanding कि कारण शरीर के वासनाओं के कारण सूक्ष्म अंतःकरण में वासनाएं वृत्तियां आ रहे हैं, whether they have the object or the people or the emotions, whatever, the greed, the passion, desire, what are all of them? The modification in the sukshma sharira. Why that is happening? Because the vasanas in the karana sharira. What is to be done? Devalue them. Then what will happen? The vasanas get devalued. Then their influence in the antakarana in the form of formation of these emotions, that also goes on. काम क्रोध आदि दुर्गुणों को डिवैल्यू करके ही हम दूर करते हैं. What is the value of it? Valuing of it, either run with them or feel regretted with them. We should not run with them in fulfilling those emotions, nor we have to devalue, reject, not we have to hate them. That's why we said vidite, mean become a sakshi. काम वृत्ति आया मन में. You need not fulfill that kama also, then we are caught up. Caught up means what? Vasana has succeeded in not only creating the vritti at the subtle body, also by pushing us into the grosser world, the vasana succeeded. If you fulfill the kamana, therefore become a sakshi, they don't fulfill. Other one is what? By becoming sakshi, by not fighting with it also, we will devalue it. Because if you hate also because such vrittis are coming, then hatred also gives importance to it, then it remains. Like both the people are in our mind, whom we love, whom we hate. And who is the person who is not there in our mind, whom we don't love or don't hate? Mhm. Is it not? So too, these emotions को हमें hate भी नहीं करना. Hate vasanas are there, therefore such kama krodha vrittis have come. Neither fulfill them nor fight with them. They will slowly go away. This is a technique. The one who discovers it and does it, he is called a Mahadi. And while doing so, always remember the goal is neither to dissolve gross nor subtle or nor causal. Goal is to discover the actual self. उसको कभी नहीं छोड़ना, वही सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है, वही मेन लक्ष्य है. That is what the cause of inspiration for doing all that. And you should remember it. I want to experience my essential truth, which is the actual reality. ये हमेशा अंदर होना है, वही प्रेरणा है. उस प्रेरणा से ही हम तीनों को पार कर सकते हैं. If that prerana inspiration not there, then why should we go out of all this? That is in Vedanta. One of the important thing is the more intense desire we develop in us to know the self, which in other terms called as Shubhecha or Mumukshata, it makes easy for us to transcend these three. If that intensity of desire of knowing self is not there, then our ability to desire will function in these three worlds. We continue as samsara. What Shastra does is this only, the Shubhecha, Mumukshata. Self is infinite, self is glorious, eternal, blissful, joyful. When that Shastra says it so much and we listen that way genuinely, our desire to know that self grows. And mind you, when the desire to know the self is stronger, all Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, ये obvious हो जाते. जितना इंटेंस होगा डिजायर टू बी द सेल्फ उतना ऑटोमेटिकली सब हो जाते. That is a greatest gift we give to ourselves, that instead of desiring for the world intensely, we are desiring to be the self intensely. जितना इंटेंस होगा फिर वो ऑटोमेटिकली बाकी सब सेट करता है. इंटेंसिटी ऑफ एनी डिजायर won't allow you to be without working. When you have strong desire to eat something, इवन if 12 बजे रात है तो उठोगे आप, हम जाएंगे किचन में रेफ्रिजरेटर में लेकर खाते हैं. A desire will not allow a person to be stable. When the desire is for the self, then all the sadhanas required to be reaching the self, we become restless in doing them. Rather, we become sincere in doing them. Then, to that person who is intense in his desires to know the self, all the sentences said by the Guru, that beta self is hidden by these three avasthas, self is hidden by the Jagrata avasthas, because of your raga, desha, kama, krodha, all that's happening, please you drop all of them. These things become so meaningful and practical, and he does it also because his desire to know the self is intense. बाकी लोगों को हमको डिजायर उतना नहीं है, साथ में डिजायर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड आर मेनी, देयरफॉर वी गिव द गुरुस वर्ड्स टू गुरु ओनली बैक, तेरा तुझको अर्पण क्या लगे मेरा, एंड वी गो बैक विथ आवर ओन बैग ऑफ डिजायर. दिस इज व्हाट वी डू एवरी डे, इज इट नॉट? If the desire for self is intense, all the not self we give up and just go for pursuit of self only. इसलिए एक गुरु का भी एक कर्तव्य बनता है आत्म प्राप्ति का निष्ठा शिष्य में बढ़ाना. एंड गुरुज डू दैट ऑल्सो. अनात्म तिरस्करण आत्म प्राप्ति. आत्म प्राप्ति निष्ठा स्ट्रांग हो गया तो अनात्म तिरस्करण विल बी इजीली डन. दैट्स व्हाई वी शुड नॉट डाई विदाउट नोइंग आवरसेल्फ. And as early as possible, let us know the self, get out of all bondage of the not self. This thought entertains so much that we become restless to be away from the world. And enter into meditation. You can see that in some great devotees, and those are always in the Samadhi Nishta. Anybody disturbs their Samadhi and pulls them into Jagrata Avastha, they become so restless to be in this familiar world of Jagrata Avastha, in which you and I are there. Only then they transcend the Jagrata and go into trance, they are peaceful. ऐसा हमको बनना पड़ता है, and that stage will come. That's what made people great Mahatmas like Gurudev. Day in and day out, he was only in the pursuit of the self when he was in Shivanandaji's ashram as well as Tapon Maharaj's ashram. He was so restless. मेरे को पता करना ही है अब मुझे, मैं क्या हूँ, सेल्फ क्या है, तत्व आत्मा क्या है. But the theme of the Upanishad, the ultimate self, I must. Whole day and night only focused on that only. Because the intensity of desire, he could focus. Because was focus was done, all the other worldly things rejected. Then the self-experience became obvious to them. Same thing for all of us also. That is why sometimes one must study the literature of Tapon Maharaj. Tapon Maharaj, and some other Mahatmas also. Ruthlessly they reject the world, saying it is a cause of bondage. And so compassionately, kindly they say about the glory and bliss of the self. Any guru who so strongly talks like this, he will have very few disciples, but they are the gems. Other gurus who talk in the lighter language of, slowly you have to conquer the world, manage the world, do dharma in the world, do upasana, do yoga. And also remember the goal is the self, and self is known through meditation, and that is done when you study Shastra. To such gurus, the disciples are many, but gems nahi hote wo log. Because neither they gave up that nor taken up this, because the guru's teachings are not like that. All the time he tells to manage the mind and world only. He never tells reject them. तपोन महाराज says reject them. मैनेज क्या है बेवकूफ, उसको छोड़ो, फटा हुआ पुराना चीज को क्या सिलाई करते हो, फेंक दो उसको. Is it not? To maintain many disciples, they talk like that. But all of them will be at that level only. No, Thakur Maharaj, no disciple, only few. But all those four who were there with him, they were all gems. हर लॉन्ग दे ऑल रिकॉग्नाइज दिमसेल्फ. महाराज का ही महिमा तपोन महाराज के पास जो भी दो चार ही थे, ये वर बॉदर अबाउट मेनी डिसाइपल. बट वन हु केम गुरुदेव एंड ऑल, ही मेड देम प्रैक्टिकली रिजेक्ट एवरीथिंग. खाना भी नहीं दिया उनको, मिठाइयाँ भी नहीं दी कभी. देन ओनली यू विल ट्रांसेंड द इंद्रियास एंड ऑल. द टेस्ट इज सो स्टर्न एंड स्ट्रांग, एंड यू आर सो अडमेंट दैट एक बार मैं पढ़ाता हूँ, लाइफ लॉन्ग यू हैव टू रिमेंबर. You cannot forget. You forget only one punishment. Go away from my house. I can't teach these nonsense forgetful disciples. See, it benefited whom? Not Tapon Maharaj. It benefited the one who followed it. Everything is denied by Tapon Maharaj. Therefore, the rejection became obvious to Gurudev. And he forced him to remember whatever is taught. So for the sake of a guru, he remembered all the Upanishads, everything. That made it so easy to be getting the Atmanishta. Mahadiya includes all these words. This is how these 2-3 shlokas have to be studied so vastly, exhaustively. श्लोक का अर्थ देखा हमने, भाष्य भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं, उसके अनुषंग में व्हाट आर द अदर एडजस्टमेंट्स वी हैव टू मेक इन आवर अंडरस्टैंडिंग टू मेक इट इजी, वो भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं. क्लियर? नाउ ही सेज सर्वज्ञता इह अस्मिन् लोके भवति महादिया महाबुद्धेः. नाउ लिसन केयरफुली. सर्वलोक अतिशय वस्तु विषय बुद्धित्वात् एवं विदः सर्वत्र सर्वदा bhavati. These are all mystical, typical languages, these things. Only the one who is writing them alone understands, and the one who is tuned to the writer, he alone will understand what is it. Very sublime it is. Sarvatra bhavati, that is the word. Sarvatra sarvada bhavati. Sarvagnata hi sarvatra bhavati. That sarvatra word he is explaining. Listen carefully. I'll read it again. When these three worlds are transcended, when you reach the fourth, that fourth, where is it? If not in those three, it is everywhere. Therefore, that vastu is what vastu then? Not like the vastus of these three avasthas, which are only in that avastha but not in the other. What is in Jagrata is not in Swapna. What is Swapna is not in Jagrata. What is in Swapna Jagrata is not in Sushupti. What is Sushupti? दोनों में नहीं है. So the vastus of these three worlds are exclusively belong to those worlds only, those planes. But when you transcend these three planes, the Atma vastu which you gain there, where is it there? The answer is what? It is everywhere, it is there. Why it is everywhere there? Because the vastu is such one which is not there in all these three. It is something beyond. That's what he says. Sarvaloka atishaya vastu. This vastu is sarvaloka atishaya. Why? Only when we have transcended those three lokas, so you reach to this fourth one. Therefore, this fourth one is sarvaloka atishaya. Means beyond these three. Therefore, what is the meaning of beyond these three? It is not limited like the vastus of those three worlds. स्वप्न का स्वप्न में है, जागृत में नहीं है, जागृत का जागृत में, स्वप्न में नहीं है. बट दिस वस्तु इज व्हाट, इन तीनों के अतिशय में है, तो इट इज नॉट कंडीशनड इन ईच ऑफ द अवस्था. Then what is the meaning of it is not conditioned in each avastha? It is everywhere there. तीनों अवस्थाओं को पार करने के बाद ये मिला है. फिर therefore ये वस्तु तीनों अवस्थाओं के अंदर के वस्तु के समान नहीं है. तीनों अवस्थाओं के अंदर का वस्तु क्या है, वो उसी अवस्था में होता है, दूसरे में नहीं. ये ऐसा नहीं है मतलब ये हर जगह है. That's why I said the subtlety of this bhashya. Sarvaloka means all the three words. Atishaya means transcended. Vastu, the self, that is the thing recognized at that level by that Mahabuddhi. So the Mahabuddhi discovered that self which is Atishaya of all these three lokas. And whatever the Vastu is there in these three lokas, limited to that. This Vastu is Atishaya to these three, therefore not limited, therefore is unlimited. What is meaning unlimited? It is not that it is there in this plane and not in that plane. Or it is in this plane, not in that plane. ऐसा नहीं है. Then it is in all the three planes if the planes express, and it is also there when these three planes are not there. That is the meaning of Sarvaloka Atishaya Vastu Vishayat Buddhitvat Evam Vidaha of that person Sarvatra Sarvada Bhavati. The experience of himself is that he is everywhere there, and that he is there everywhere there experience of him is Sarvada, is always. In other words, I am that self which is always there in every place. I am that self which is always there at every place. Everywhere. Every place means what? जागृत स्वप्न सुषुप्ति अवस्था. तो एक्चुअली मैं वो आत्मा हूं जो तीनों अवस्था में हमेशा है. बट इनको जानना है तो तीनों अवस्था को पार करना पड़ेगा. दैट्स व्हाट वी हैव टू कैच. And being in one of these three avasthas, we continue only as Vishwatesa Prajna, which are parts of Jiva Bhava only. The Atma Anubhava never comes when we are in these three. That is why the entire Upanishad talked about the laya of these three avasthas in three matras and go into the matra. देखो आत्मा में तीन लोक नहीं है. ये तीन लोकों में आत्मा नहीं मिलेगा. आत्मा चाहिए तो तीन लोकों को छोड़ो. तीन लोगों को पकड़ा तो आत्मा नहीं मिलेगा. That's how the transaction, that's how they deal. So sarvalokatisya vastu vishayatva buddhitvat evam vidaha sarvatra sarvada bhavati. Means what? Sakrut vidite swarupe vichara bhavat iti arthaha. Means what? Once you know the self, there is no again going back into forgetting of the self. That experience of self again travels with you wherever you go. Like once we wake up, we come from the dreamer. No more going back to the dreamer. And throughout you are in the waking only. But that's limited because another dream will come. But in the Atma Vastu, ऐसा नहीं होता. The point is, Sakrut Vidite Swarupe. Once the self is known, Vyavichara Bhavat. There is no forgetting about the self. Therefore, he will be Sarvatra Sarvagnya Sarvada. The meaning of these three words, Shankara Bhagavan is trying to explain as. Sarvagnya is explained. Sarva means everything. Gna means consciousness. What is the Sarvatra? Sarvatra means in all places and conditionings. Sarvada, always. So always, in all places, in all conditionings, one alone is there whose nature is Gnaswarupa, consciousness. I become that. I experience that. I know myself to be that. No, to reach to this, our ऋषि मुनि कितना मेडिटेट कंटेम्पलेट करना पड़ा उनको. उसके लिए कितना ये सारा जगत को त्याग करना पड़ा. उसके लिए उनके अंदर कितना विचार शक्ति से विवेक वैराग्य हुआ. That's how we have to surrender to them, salute to them. And while pursuing all that and reaching self, they get so much of tremendous, sublime, subtle Shakti power. That Shakti only helps us by becoming Anugraha. Therefore, we worship them, their Shakti becomes Anugraha to us, and that Anugraha Shakti, say, we also can contemplate like them and reach beyond these three avasthas. Sarvagnata hi sarvatra. He means verily. Sarvagnata sarvatra bhavati Mahadi. To that individual, he will experience himself to be that self-conscious, which is one without second, which is always there, everywhere there. It is not conditioned by any avastha, and it never goes back. Most important point in this topic is, it's not that on the seat of meditation I realize self. When I come out of meditation, the self is gone. ऐसा नहीं होता. Little of vasanas, if still they remain, then the glimpses of experience come, but still we are not established. In the effort of continuously getting established in the experience, when the vasanas go away, then the permanence comes. That's called Brahmanishtata, Sthirata. There's no coming back. That's what he says. Then, nahi paramartha vidaha jnana udbhava abhibhavau staha yatha anyesham pravadukanam. Just like for the other pravadukas, in a particular condition jnana comes and otherwise it goes away. इनका ऐसा नहीं होता है. जब तक ज्ञान नहीं है आत्मा का नहीं है. Interesting point. But the moment you realized it will never recede back. You are always established in that one. Sarvatra, he word is there, no? Verily, that in the main mantra Karika, that he is explaining here. He means what? There is no coming back. He is into that only. So now, like a bird's eye view, see the entire sloka. ज्ञाने च त्रिविधे ज्ञेये क्रमेण विदिते स्वयं सर्वज्ञतायै सर्वत्र भवति इह महाधियः. One word if you analyze. Jnane means the experiences. Jneye, the experienced. Vidite, by becoming a witness and sakshi, when they are resolved to such an extent that they are abhava. Then what will happen? Vidite swayam, you will know yourself. You know yourself as what? The paramartha vastu, which is aja, advaya, then turiya and abhaya. When you reach that, how it looks like? Sarvajnata means everywhere one thing, and that one thing is conscious self. That is sarvatra bhavati. Why sarvatra? Because that state you experienced when you have transcended these three avasthas. There is no doubt about it. And once you reach to it, there is no receding back to become again the jiva or to give value to jagra, sapna, sushupti adi. They may manifest. They may appear because थोड़ा और देह का प्रारब्ध हो सकता है, ईश्वर लीला हो सकता है, but then you are not conditioned. Please remember, what is the difference between the Brahmagnani and we? Point one, question one. Second, what is the difference in the expression of that Brahmagnani only before he realized the Brahma Tattva and after? व्यवहार में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You understand? But two changes will happen. One, in that Brahmagnani, like us, Vyavahara doesn't become samsara. First point. Second, in that Brahmagnani, unlike us, there is experience of the Atma continuously there. Other than these two, absence of samsara, experience the Brahma Tattva, unme hai, hamare andar nahi hai. Other than these two, the Vyavahara continues. He also washes teeth. He also eats food. If his food also poisoned, his body also gets problem diseased. His body also becomes old. When he is using the indriyas, for him also the same world is seen. क्योंकि ये सब एक उपाधि लेवल में ये सबके लिए कॉमन नॉर्मली होगा. बट आत्मविद्या आ गया है, इसलिए अविद्या नहीं है, इसलिए ये सब रियल नहीं दिखेगा, इसलिए संसार नहीं होता. Samsara is forgetting real, taking the unreal as real. He is always in reality. He is seeing the unreal but knowing it as unreal. There is no samsara to him. Understand? When you know the rope as rope and when you know there is no snake, where is samsara? It may appear, but it is not real. See these three sentences. Snake है, स्नेक की तरह लग रहा था, स्नेक नहीं है, रोप ही है, सिर्फ रोप ही है, स्नेक की तरह दिख रहा है लेकिन. If you know these five sentences, you understand what is Vedanta. Again, I'll say in English, snake alone is real. It may not be snake. There's no snake at all. What is there is rope. What is there is rope alone. But rope alone is there, though appearing as snake. Appearing as snake is a vyavahara. So Jagat alone is real. Jagat may not be real. Jagat is not real only. Real is Atma. Atma alone is real. And Atma alone is real, though Jagat is appearing. In this state, the Brahmajnana is there. So, will he have a cup of coffee if you give? He will take. Will he take the sweet if you offer? He may not take, because if he says his body is diabetic, he will not take. But he knows you are offering cup of coffee, the cup, the saucer, the coffee, in that he knows that they are all only in the mithya vyavahara, not in reality. Including you are giving and he's taking and he's sipping, he's emptying the coffee, सब unreal. Like सपने में सब होता है कि नहीं? कॉफी भी देते हैं कोई सपने में, आप लेते भी वो, आप पीते भी हो, अच्छा लगता है, वो पूछते कैसा है, यू से अच्छा है. बट व्हेन यू वेक अप एंड सी, जो कुछ रियल था, यू नो इट्स अनरियल. That is the Mahadi's state of being. Okay. So, nahi paramartha vidah jnana udbhava abhibhavav staha yatha anyesham pravadukanam. Just like for the other pravadukas, the arrival and disappearance of knowledge is conditional. इनका ऐसा नहीं होता. नहीं मिला एक बार मिला तो permanent. हो गया. Now, when it is said that these three avasthas are there, you have to become sakshi of them, then slowly you dissolve them. This gives an idea of they being there really. If they are real, the idea is given, then the Advaita Tattva Siddhanta goes away. Then when it is real, then you can never reject only. Again, the entire problem comes to back to square one. Therefore, what for sadhana is said by the Guru, again should be said by the Guru as, बेटा ये साधना के लिए कहा गया है, otherwise ये भी real नहीं. That's why the only example which helps us is tying that cow or bull to that thing where the rope is not there or the rod is not there, but just by acting only you tied it. And by again the acting you untied, and for that bull or the buffalo or cow it appears, जब टाई किया तो किया है, जब खोला है तो खोला है. Both of them are not there. To make that cow sit stably, you have to do the natak of tying it. Again, to wake it up and take with you, you have to untie it. In the same way, if you get it out कि अच्छा है, मतलब तीन अवस्थाओं के साक्षी बनकर उनसे पार जाना है, या मतलब तीन अवस्थाएं हैं, अब यही मान रहे हो ना. This is how the पूर्व पक्षी catches the सिद्धांति. सिद्धांति will have to say, ना बाबा, वो साधना व्यवहार के लिए कहा, otherwise there is no reality. Reality is there only to the Atmavastu. Even the Guru, Shishya, Shastra, Satsanga, Antakarana Shuddhi, Mahadi, they are all helpful to reach to that. They are not real. How come they being unreal yet they help? वही तो मजा है. Just like they were unreal yet they gave the bondage to us, no? Yeah, in the same way. They are unreal but they help us in real. उसका मजा है, उसको सवाल नहीं पूछना, उसको यूज करके वहां जाना है. The tiger in the lion wakes us up. How come the waking is reached by the tiger in the lion? Don't question. You just wake up and the tiger chases you. You are that. Oh, है भैया. देखो, all the knowledge theoretical is in the mind level. Self is not touched by them. Yet, this knowledge only becomes a vehicle to take us to the ultimate. Is it not? So the question is, लौकिकादीनाम क्रमेण ज्ञेयत्वेन निर्देशात् अस्तित्व आशंका परमार्थता मा भूतु इति आह. इन तीनों को छोड़ना है जब कहा तो ये सत्य है, इट दैट टाइप ऑफ नोशन में कम। नो नो नो, परमार्थ सत्य नहीं है उसमें। इसलिए उसको जवाब देने के लिए कि ओनली फॉर प्रक्रिया वी स्पोक अबाउट ऑल दैट, अदरवाइज दे आर नॉट रियल, दिस श्लोका कम्स एंड दिस श्लोका सो फुल, सो ब्यूटीफुल, सो कंप्लीट, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। We'll chant it today. See tomorrow. He yajneyapyapakyani vigneyanyagrayanatah teshamanyatra vigneyat upalambhastrishu smrutah prakrutyakashavadgneyah sarve dharma anadayah vidyatena hi nanatvam tesham kvachana kinchana आदिबुद्धाः प्रकृत्यैव सर्वे धर्मा सुनिश्चिताः यस्यैवं भवति क्षान्तिः सोऽमृतत्वाय कल्पते आदिशान्ता ह्यनुत्पन्नाः प्रकृत्यैव सुनिर्वृताः सर्वे धर्माः समाभिन्नाः अजं साम्यं विशारदं वैशारद्यन्तु वै नास्ति भेदे विचरतां सदा वेदनिम्नाः पृथग्वादाः तस्मात् ते कृपणाः स्मृताः अजे साम्ये तु ये केचित् भविष्यन्ति सुनिश्चिताः ते हि लोके महाज्ञानाः तच्च लोको न गाहते अजेषु अजमसङ्क्रान्तं धर्मेषु ज्ञानमिष्यते यतो न क्रमते ज्ञानमसङ्गं तेन कीर्तितम् अणुमात्रेऽपि वैधर्म्ये जायमाने विपश्चितः असङ्गता सदा नास्ति किमुतावरणच्युतिः अलब्धावरणाः सर्वे धर्माः प्रकृतिनिर्मलाः आदौ बुद्धास्तथा मुक्ताः बुध्यन्ते इति नायकाः क्रमतेन हि बुद्धस्य ज्ञानं धर्मेषु तायिनः सर्वे धर्माः सदा ज्ञानं नैतद्बुद्धेन भाषितं दुर्दर्शमति गम्भीरमजं साम्यं विशारदं बुद्ध्वा पदमनानात्वं नमस्कुर्मो यथावलौ। इति गौडपादीय कारिका सहित मांडुक्योपनिषदि चतुर्थमलाद शांति प्रकरणौ। ब्यूटिफुल। ओम 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 पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परब्रह्मणे श्रुतिमात्रे मंडूकमहर्षि नमः गौडपादाचार्यवर्यान् आद्यशङ्करद्गुरुन् अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। तत्सत् ब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु। Give me 15 minutes. We'll study Vidura Niti.